2015 Bank of Scotland Edinburgh Golf Club annual dinner. It's great to see such a large turnout tonight, with so many familiar faces staring back at me, as well as plenty of guests here this evening as well. I'd like to, though, extend an especially warm welcome to all those who have travelled from out of town tonight to be with us here in Edinburgh. Edinburgh, of course, currently the very proud home of lower division football. I'm a Hearts fan, I can say that. So 2014, that was some year, wasn't it? A year like no other, is how they described it. It was, of course, the club's 125th anniversary, as I'm sure you all know by now. But everything else seems to be happening here in Scotland as well, from the Commonwealth Games to the MTV Awards, to the Ryder Cup, to the referendum. However, I'm sure you'll all agree that undoubtedly, top trumping all of these 2014 landmark events in Scottish history was surely my long service award for surviving 25 years with the bank. Back in 1989, when our club was merely 100 years old, I was just starting out my career with Bank of Scotland as a young whippersnapper in staff banking, Grassmarket branch. And to the younger members tonight, this was in the original Uberia House, which is now the Apex Hotel. And of course, being in the Grassmarket, Friday nights would habitually be spent across the road in the pub in the last drop. And once in the last drop, it was only a matter of time before my navy blue Bank of Scotland tie would be wrapped around my head like the Karate Kid, as I sat once more in front of a bunch of drunken students to try and explain to them how the hell the check clearing system worked. 3 days for a Scottish check, 4 for an English, 5 for Northern Irish, it never leaves you. Now around that time, a lot of you will remember Gavin Masterton. I was expecting some booze now, but no. He was running the show back then, and around that time Gavin issued an edict to branch staff to answer the phones in a certain prescribed manner. He wanted to say, "Good morning, Bank of Scotland, Grassmarket branch, Stuart speaking," and so forth. So one day, soon after, Gavin Masterton phones downstairs from his ivory tower in Uberia House to the branch several floors below. The phone is answered by a young lad, a whippersnapper who shall remain nameless. "Hello?" "Hello," says Gavin. "That's not how we're supposed to answer the phone." "Pardon," says the young lad. "You're supposed to say, 'Good morning, Bank of Scotland, Grassmarket.'" "Oh, okay, sorry about that," said the young lad. "Do you know who this is?" said Gavin. "No," said the young lad. "This is Gavin Masterton, Treasurer and Chief General Manager of the Bank of Scotland." Oh, said the young lad, the penny finally dropping. There was a brief, awkward silence, and then the young lad picked up again. "Do you know who this is?" "No," said Gavin. "Good," said the young lad, and he hung up. True story. So gentlemen, let's introduce our honoured top table guest to you this evening. Now some folk will tell you that they suspect I suffer from OCD, but don't believe a word of it. So here is your top table, which tonight I've meticulously arranged in ascending order of shoe size. First up, with his tiny feet like Pringles with toes, we have the captain of the Standard Life Golf Club, Murray Strachan. Murray plays his golf at Kingsdown Golf Club, which is where we played our annual match in 2014. And I'm glad to report that we managed to recapture the trophy from Standard Life, having lost in 2013. However, we never actually recaptured the trophy because they forgot to bring the bloody thing with them. I think we got it back eventually. Murray worked in London in the early part of his career, and to cope with the exorbitant cost of living, he took out a second job working at the weekend in Burger King, Leicester Square. I asked Murray earlier if he'd ever served any famous customers, what with Leicester Square being synonymous with red carpets and film premieres and Theatreland. "Indeed I did," said Murray. "None other than Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber once came into Burger King and asked me for 2 Whoppers. I told him, 'You're fantastically handsome and your musicals are brilliant.'" Beside Murray is the incoming vice-captain of the Glasgow Golf Club, Eric Gibson. Eric has recently baffled and bewildered Glasgow doctors who have never seen his likes before. A middle-aged Glaswegian man with a perfect liver function. That said, Eric is now at the delicate age where one of his best friends is Viagra. However, his eyesight, as you can see, is also starting to fail him. And this led to a rather unfortunate recent incident when Eric mixed up his liquid Viagra with an entire tub of Tipex and woke up with a massive correction. Next to Eric, and beside Robbo, in the interest of balance, we have a massive hibby, our vice captain, Andy Wright. Stop cheering. Andy was on holiday last summer in Turkey and he bumped into his follically challenged twin, a certain Mr. Wayne Rooney. Now I know that you guys think I make this rubbish up, but here is the pictorial evidence of that encounter, Andy and Wayne. Now Andy and Wayne shared a few drinks together and one thing led to another and they spent the night together. Let me finish watching the World Cup final in a bar. Now I know what you're all thinking. I absolutely realise what the elephant in the room is here. Did he ask the question? You know, that question. Well, gentlemen, I can confirm that yes, indeed, he did ask that question. So why exactly do you like sleeping with old grannies? And the response, well, I just take whatever action I can get, said Andy. Andy and I had the pleasure of playing golf last year with Allan, former European Tour player, current head of golf at Dalmahoy, and our guest speaker here 2 years ago. Unfortunately, Andy got off to a rather rough start, and he was clearly frustrated with his game, or lack of game. I overheard Andy telling Allan he couldn't believe he was playing so badly, especially since he played so well just a few days before at Turnhouse. To which Allan replied, well, hang on, Andy, you mean you played the game before? It did look that way. Later in the same round, Andy found himself in a bunker, and Andy asked Allan Tate what club he should hit. Don't worry about the club, said Allan. Just make sure you bring plenty of food and water with you. But curiously, given that I'm captain and Andy is vice captain, the pair of us, along with our respective four-ball partners, Robert May and Dave Young, ended up playing each other in the final of the Bank Four-Balls at the lovely Renaissance Club last autumn. They were one up in a tough but scrappy match as we played the final hole. And I turned round, looked back down the fairway, Andy was miles back because he didn't hit the ball very far. Andy was stamping furiously up and down in the middle of the fairway. So I wandered back and said, Andy, what on earth are you doing? I'm stamping on this effing snail, said Andy. It's getting on my nerves. Why, I asked. Because the bloody thing's been following me about all day. Andy will get his own bat next year, don't worry. Next up is John Robertson, a man, in fact, a legend who needs no introduction whatsoever, which is great. That'll save us some time. Thank you very much, Robbo. I know you're keen to get stuck into your dinner. Joking apart, as a lifelong gambler myself, I had the tremendous privilege of golfing with Robbo in 2014, and as many stories that day are anything to go by. You're in for a treat, and he speaks later on this evening. Not only is Robbo a superstar around these parts as a former record-breaking striker, he's also currently a highly respected BBC Scotland radio broadcaster. Plus, he's a keen and tidy golfer. He plays at the tough Edinburgh Bar Links up north, and I can personally vouch for the fact that he's rather handy playing up his 7 handicap. In fact, I commented on a lovely, gentle draw that Robbo hit when we played together. I said, nice shape. Robbo replied somewhat wistfully, yeah, no one said nice shape about me for many years. Incidentally, the wee man was born in October 1964, which means he'll be 51 later this year. Now, the next picture I'm about to show you, I don't want to cause any offence, but this was Robbo and I playing golf, and all we were doing was clarifying exactly what age Robbo was going to be on his next birthday. That's all we were doing. Moving on swiftly. Topping the entertainment bill this evening is Willie, Allan, one of Scotland's most sought-after speakers who's been talking on the after-dinner circuit since 1992. You must have been accurate, Willie. I first met Willie and heard him speaking at last year's Glasgow Golf Club dinner. He was so good that I booked him immediately, which, to be honest, was a little bit inconvenient for all concerned because he was still in the middle of a speech at the time. Now, talking about last year's Glasgow dinner, Willie arrived through the train from Fife into Glasgow Queen Street just a wee bit early. So he decided to have a wander around town. He soon arrived at an Ann Summers shop, so he popped in, just to kill some time, but also to see if he could get a present, maybe for the wife while he was at it. Willie hadn't been in one of these shops before, so he asked the girl behind the counter for advice. I'm looking for a vibrator for my wife. Can you recommend something? And the girl was a wee bit off with him, said, look, this is our stock here, just whatever you see, just pick something. So Willie, by this stage, gets a little bit flustered, and he goes, right, I'll have that big red one, please. You can't have that, sir. Why not, said Willie, because that's the fire extinguisher. As I said, Willie is rightly regarded as one of Scotland's top after-dinner speakers, but, just like the rest of us, he's not immune from making the occasional mistake. Willie was MC at a recent medical convention and had the apparently simple task of introducing Dr. Coburn, an eminent heart specialist. Unfortunately, Willie introduced him as Dr. Hartburn, an eminent cock specialist. Next to Willie is Stuart Mayer, the incoming 2015 Glasgow captain. I have to say, it's really nice to see Stuart dressed so soberly this evening. It seems to be an entry requirement of the Glasgow Golf Club to dress with outrageously bright clothing. I've been told on good authority that the translation of the Glasgow Club's Latin motto is play it as it lies, but wear it if it's loud. This is a true story. The guy from Glasgow turned up into district wearing a bright orange shirt, bright orange trousers, bright orange golf shoes, socks, bright orange cap, a bright orange driver inside his bright orange golf bag. I wasn't sure he was a massive Ricky Fowler fan, or just not terribly fond of Celtic. It was both, as it happened. Now, talking of which, I bumped into Stuart while I was through shopping last year in Glasgow city centre. He was carrying loads of bags, so I said to him, what's in the bag, Stuart? Well, I've got some pornographic DVDs, some leather lederhosen, some whips, some chains, some fluffy handcuffs, and a gimp mask. I was supposed to buy a Rangers shirt, but I was too embarrassed. Stuart is a big blue nose, a big Rangers fan, and obviously much to his recent frustration. But he assures me there is absolutely no truth whatsoever in the rumour that he deliberately got caught speeding tonight on the M8, just so he could experience one more time what it feels like to get 3 points. One more. I tried to cheer Stuart. Stuart's a good guy, he's a friend, so I tried to cheer him up by buying him a wee present. It was a DVD of the Rangers story entitled Sashes to Ashes. It's since been renamed Sashes to Ashley. This featured classic Rangers songs from down the years, including Borrow, Borrow, We'll Borrow Millions, Simply in Debt, The Cash My Father Stole, and every Rangers fan's favourite, The Cry With No Reminders. Last but by no means least, sitting along at the end of the table with his humongously large feet, we have Brian Tate from the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, or RICS, as we like to call him. Brian is one of these rare, sickeningly talented sportsmen. He's a scratch golfer and has won the RICS Club Championship on multiple occasions. Brian is also a past winner of the Lothians Champion of Champions and a former club champion at the Royal Burgess. So by my calculations, I think that means on the top table tonight we have 2 club champions, might be wrong. Brian... Just saying. Brian was once the top junior squash player in Scotland and was, I'm told, the last amateur to beat Yanshir Khan before he went on his lengthy unbeaten run. He's also played 3 world #1s in his time. Brian had trials with Manchester United in the youth. He routinely hits half-century breaks of snooker and is also a handy cricketer. However, since he spent his entire youth playing sport, Brian, consequently today, is thick as shit. Brian, as you know by now, 2014 was our club's 125th anniversary. And as we approached our annual match against Ricks, we'd already enjoyed victories over Standard Life, the Glasgow Scratch team and the Glasgow Handicap team. So just one more win would give us a glorious quartet, the grand slam if you like, in this, our anniversary year. So like me tonight, formally on the record, from our club to yours, thank you ever so much for completely buggering it up for us. Brian, and indeed all the top table guests, you are very welcome tonight, and we trust you'll have a fantastic evening in our company. Moving on to notable guests and apologies. Willie Hutchison, our honorary president, was due to attend this evening, however, called off yesterday. And we wish him well, he's not feeling too great. Stuart Dawson, however, on the expensive seats at table number 3, has made it, our honorary vice president. Colin McCullough, our other honorary vice president, sends apologies, as do past captains Brian Chalmers, Kenny McMillan and Stuart Fortune. It's great to see so many past captains and honorary members here this evening. You're all very welcome, and your continuing support of the club is greatly appreciated. I think I need a thank you. I'm also pleased to see Bobby Roberts, our outgoing Glasgow captain. Bobby, like Stuart, is a big Rangers fan, so he had the choice tonight of coming to Edinburgh at dinner or watching Rangers versus Wraith Rovers. I think he chose wisely. That's the last Rangers fan. On the subject of honorary members, we can also remind you that during 2014 we appointed Stephen Easingwood as an honorary member to recognise his outstanding long service to the club and the many significant walking successes he has achieved. Stephen, many congratulations on another very well-deserved accolade as to your already extensive work. Well done. It was, however, with great sadness that just before the 2014 season started, we learned of the sudden passing, whilst golfing, of one of our members, Jim, or Jamie Frayne. As always, Jamie was here last year at the dinner with his brother Allan, and I know he was very much looking forward to the upcoming 2014 golf season. Not only was Jamie a long-serving member of the Bank Golf Club, he was also a member of the Bank Football Club. Jamie is, and will be, very much missed by the many people who knew him. Gents, before we move on to the AGM, can I just point you in the direction of the envelopes you'll see sitting on your tables. This is for the raffle, so prizes tonight are £250, £100 and £50. Can I encourage you to please stick a tenner in the envelope and pop your name and table number on it. Unlike some of the scorecards we see each season, can you try and write legibly? It can only help matters. We'll collect the envelopes after the dinner and draw the raffle once the prize giving concludes. Good luck to everybody. Okay, moving on to the slightly more formal part of the evening and the AGM. Again, I'll refer you to the AGM packs you find on your table. I'm pleased to announce that despite perennial fears of the continuation or otherwise of the annual subsidy from the bank, we have been successful in securing more funding for the coming season. I'm also pleased to announce that our annual subscription fee for members will remain at only £20, which continues to represent fantastic value. I'd like to personally thank our Treasurer, Neil Sutherland, for all the work he does to keep our finances in good order, and also to David Lewington for again kindly auditing the club's accounts. The committee is always keen to ensure that the club is progressive and of course acting in the best interests of the members. And in 2014 you may have noticed some of the following initiatives that we undertook. Posters were displayed on various sites, offices in Edinburgh, as well as an article being published online to raise the profile of the club and encourage new member applications. We're keen to ensure that new blood keeps flowing into the club for its long-term health, and pleasingly we had 27 new members join last year. If I can ask for your help, if you have any colleagues who golf and don't know about the club, please help us to spread the word. On the same note, following the change made this time last year to the Constitution, I'm also delighted to report that we saw our first lady member join the club. Although, between you and I, to be honest, I'm not sure she knows yet that she is the only female member in the club. Although I am reliably informed that even playing off a 31 handicap, she still hits the ball much further than the bicycle.